What's happening, everybody? This is Adi from Gate 7 International, and I'm joining you on a Monday. If you're stateside, happy Memorial Day to you. I know it's also a bank holiday in London as well. So sorry we couldn't get a live show for you guys yesterday, but we are bringing you something quite special today. We are going to be joined by Tito from Viola Nation very shortly. Before we get to that, don't forget, if you're tuning in now, the audience is filling up as it always does in the early minutes of the show. Like and subscribe if you're just joining in. It takes about a second of your time to do, and you can ring the bell if you want to be notified of any future shows or anything that's coming up, scouting reports, other types of interviews, a lot of great stuff coming up on the channel. You can also support us on Patreon. Thank you to all of our Patreon members. You get early access to Patreon if you are part of our enhanced content tier. You can join the WhatsApp group just for $1 a month, and there's some great stuff on there. The Omar El Abdullawi interview went live, so if you were a patron, you got to see that early access before it went live. Great stuff like that. We do some interviews outside of the realm of Olympiacos, just kind of see the landscape of the football world and see what's going on there. So it's really fun, and you can support us there, of course, if you're so inclined. And we thank everyone that supports us in any way, shape, or form. So thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone that's checking in. Thank you, everyone that's been supporting us. We are really pumped. Huge week for Olympiacos. First final of our lives. The stakes are high. As you know, we did secure Europe through the league, thankfully, so there's a little bit of pressure off of us, but there's still a lot that needs to be done. Some sour taste in our mouths, we should say, over the weekend after the basketball disappointment, losing in the Final Four to Real Madrid, and then Panathinaikos went on to win the EuroLeague final. So a victory in the Conference League would not only just be amazing, but it would just completely wash away everything that happened to us. Now, before we move on with the content for today, I do have a special video to play for you. Maybe you've seen it on YouTube, maybe you haven't, but we put together a message to show the team, to show the club, that it's more than just Olympiacos fans in one part of the world that are supporting this team. What is going on here is part of a global movement. We got some input, some messages, support from fans across the world and former players. So really excited. Incredible work by Kostas Levogiannis, our co-host, to help edit this and put this together. And I hope those of you that have not seen it will enjoy it.
Hi, Olympiacos fans. This is Lavros Sirmos from Gate 7 International.
Saying hi to the great global red and white community.
Hello, everybody.
What's up, Gate 7 International?
Hi, Gate 7 International.
Hello, Gate 7 International. Here's the Bucharesi. And I want to say some message to everybody.
My name is Athanasios Safaropoulos. I'm from Melbourne, Australia, and I'm wishing the team the very best of luck in the Conference League final against Fiorentina. We are Olympiacos.
I hope in that final everybody send great energy and to get the trophy. All right, gonna champion. Come on, bam, Olympiacos. We are Olympiacos.
This is Kostas from sunny San Jose, California. Guys, childhood dreams have become reality. We're about to watch our Olympiacos play in a European final against one of the great Italian teams with a rich history.
I remember when I was a kid in Hawaii and Honolulu wearing a Kostas Mitroglou jersey, watching Olympiacos do battle in Europe. And now we're one game away from a European trophy, and I'll be in the stadium from Honolulu.
I am here from Brazil with all my heart, supporting Olympiacos and Olympiacos fans. We are together, okay? And I'm sure, in the end of the game, we have the trophy in the hands.
This is Adonis from Bern, Switzerland, and I am wishing all the best to the players, to the fans, to the entire Olympiacos family, and hope that we can lift our first European trophy. Πάμε φίλε, we are Olympiacos.
This is Costa from Brussels. The moment all Olympiacos fans have been waiting for all our lives. 20 years after Greece won the Euro in 2004, it's our turn to make history.
John Sabukas here from Melbourne, Australia. Just wanting to wish the boys all the best for the Conference League final. Been a supporter for longer than I care to admit. Witnessed all downfalls and all the glory. the recent glory. So hoping that in 2 weeks' time we'll be all celebrating all together.
Hey guys, Ben DeRocha here from Ramadan, North Carolina. Just want to wish the boys good luck next week against Fiorentina. All of Piraeus and every Olympiacos supporter around the world who bleeds red and white, we stand behind you. We'll be cheering loud.
Boys, play your hearts out.
Bring that title back home to the Kariskaki.
We will be together in this Conference Cup final.
Hi Olympiacos fans, Matt Derbyshire here. Just a quick message to say congratulations for reaching the final. Fingers crossed we can win it. It's been a great journey for Olympiacos to get to this point now, and I just pray to God that we can win the final.
This is Billy Tigueres from Toronto, Ontario. This win is for all the old timers and the ones not around anymore that have been waiting for Olympiacos to get a European trophy their entire lives.
I'm Leonidas from London, England, and I'm here to send a message to Olympiacos fans all across the world. We are Olympiacos. I'm Olympiacos.
We are Olympiacos.
What's happening, Gate 7 International fans? This is Adi from Baltimore, Maryland, here to support our lovely Olympiacos. Hopefully we can lift that title in the Conference League final. Always supporting Olympiacos. Πάντα στη καρδιά μου. We are Olympiacos.
I hope that you're all okay and preparing for the final. It's fantastic that Olympiacos reached the final, and I wish them all the best. It's going to be perfect to play in Athens with all the supporters around them. Very positive for positive results. And like we always say, we are Olympiacos. So go on. Amen.
Greetings from Sweden, everyone. This is Alexandros. This season has been one hell of a roller coaster, a bumpy ride, but now we're here. I'm excited, thrilled for the game, a bit nervous of course, but most of all I'm very, very proud of what we have achieved. I'm Olympiacos.
This is Christos from Kingston, London, the UK. I wish best of luck to Olympiacos in the final. Let's do this.
Hey, Gate 7 International, it's Martial from Niort, France, giving a massive shout out to the club, the biggest game of its history, which is the Conference League finale. Finger crossed for victory, and Pame Olympiacos.
Pame Olympiacos. We are Olympiacos.
Hey guys, Gate 7 International, it's Agelos from Bonn, Germany. Just wishing the team best of luck. Let's get the trophy.
Yassas, Bill Pappas from Sydney, Australia here. All the boys in the final against Fiorentina, good luck. Just give it 100% and keep doing whatever's got you this far, and they're not stopping us. We are Olympiacos.
Hello, Olympiacos fan. This is Guillaume Gillet. I would like to wish you a very, very nice final game. Hope you're gonna win the first European Cup of the history of the club. I know that you're gonna push a lot in the stadium. You are the best supporters. Enjoy the game and make a big party after the win.
What's up, Gate 7 International? This is Dimitri from London, England, here to support the one and only, the red and white Olympiacos in the biggest game of our history. Vamos Olympiacos, we are Olympiacos.
Yassas, I'm Chris Bridgers from Atlanta, Georgia in the United States. Let's go make history in the final, boys. Good luck. We are Olympiacos.
The power and the drive you can give the team is extreme, especially when we're all together going into this special game. For all of us, just over a week, it will be more important than ever to be there, to cherish the team, and to pray for everything to go our way, because you never know, final is a final. I hope for all of you to experience something very special that's going to stay with you and with the club for forever, really.
This game is for all the Gavros around the world, and also for all of us who are not here anymore, for all those who made us this crazy, mad and possessed in this club.
Είμαστε Gavros, Panda,
Pame,
Olympiacos, Pame.
We are Olympiacos.
Pame Olympiakara, Pame Thrilos.
Pame Olympiakara, Pame Olympiakara.
We are Olympiacos.
Είσαι στο μυαλό.
Olympiacos, oh manara, mujer.
Κάτι μαγικό, όπου πας εσύ.
Είσαι στο μυαλό.
There's something in la 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 trago. Frilo, ole, ole.
Olympiacos, manda, sto cagliamo.
I can't wait to see you all there in the Olympiacos section.
Thrille, παίξε γερά, παίξε με τσαμπουκά, and your fans will be singing.
Ole.
We are Olympiacos.
Let's do it. We are Olympiacos.
We are Olympiacos. Yule. We are Olympiacos.
We are Olympiacos, ladies and gentlemen. If you are tuning in, you are Olympiacos as well. We are all here. We are all showing our support for the team. This game means so much for all of us. It means so much for everything that we've been through and what our fathers have been through, our grandparents, those that made us red and white fans. That is why this community has been put together, and hopefully the team can do what it needs to be done to get the glory that we have all been seeking for so long as Olympiacos fans, some longer than others. And now we have a very special guest here that's going to give us some bigger insight into Fiorentina, into, I believe, I hope I don't butcher this, Violi, I think it's how it says, but I'm sure he will correct me. But I'd like to give a very special welcome to Tito from Viola Nation. Tito, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Ari. Good to be here.
And we are excited to have you, excited to get some insights about Fiorentina. And was that correct? Is that what Fiorentina is called? I Violi or Il Violi? Something was
usually just La Viola, the purple one.
La Viola, okay.
Yeah, just the one purple one.
Just so I love it. So Tito, before we go ahead and get into bit of analysis, talk about the team, we do want to talk about you for a little bit. So give the fans a little bit of background. Where are you from? How did you get in? What's your relationship with football, and how did you come to follow Fiorentina?
Sure, yeah. I'm originally from Texas, now live in Seattle for the past 6+ years, I think. My grandmother was Italian. She died when I was very young, so I didn't ever really get to know her. So as I got older, getting to know more about Italy felt like a good way to get in touch with that part of my heritage in a way that felt like it brought me closer to her. When I was, maybe 11, I think, 10 or 11, I think we went over there as a family for the first time and scattered her ashes in the Arno River, which was a little funny because she was not actually from Florence. She's from a small town called San Benedetto Po in Emilia-Romagna, kind of on the other side of the Apennine Mountains from Tuscany, but Florence was her favorite city. So yeah, going over there, I've always felt a pretty strong connection to the city. And then when my family first got cable when I was in 8th grade, maybe somewhere in there. And it was the first time we'd ever had anything beyond like the 3 or 4 standard TV stations.
Yeah.
And so getting to watch Sky Sports, they did the weekly Serie A updates. I remember watching some of those teams that were just a lot of fun. Yeah, think Luca Toni, think guys like that. And purple shirts, connection to a city that I felt close to. It was just love at first sight. And started writing for Viola Nation, the website. Oh, geez, probably like 8-9 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
And and everyone who was above me on the org chart eventually moved on, and so I just kind of rose to the top by attrition and still running it over there. As far as playing soccer, I played in high school. Then, because I'm from Texas, obviously, I went to college to play American football, which didn't last super long. Turned out I wasn't a real good culture fit. And then quit doing that and got back to playing soccer again. And I'm still dragging myself out there on Sundays with my Sunday league team, trying to keep up with the college kids. And just I'm so washed now I can only play center back and get along by being, I think what they call it is a cagey veteran more than athletic at this point. So that's kind of how I think about, that's my relationship with the game. I also just like watching. I think a little bit like you were saying before we came on, I tend to be a fairly analytical. I really enjoy the tactical side of the game. Really like thinking about systems, like how they reflect like a manager's philosophy, all that stuff. I think that's really fun and interesting. And yeah, looking forward to it, man.
Well, you're talking to the right guy. I love tactics as well. So we're going to get into all of it. And I'd like to start off kind of just focusing on the turnaround that happened with Fiorentina with the arrival of Vincenzo Italiano. And I mean, because quite literally, we talked about it briefly also before we went live. Gattuso was there. You said 27 days. 27 days.
Yeah, that was
Vincenzo Italiano comes in and makes what a club that I personally I don't have a lot of experience, just what I see here and there of Serie A, but it's a club I've always seen kind of like between mid-table and low table up here, and then all of a sudden they're here in various power rankings in the top 5 teams in various parts of offense, defense. I mean, what a turnaround he has had at Fiorentina. Can you tell us a little bit about his arrival and what he did to change things in Florence?
Yeah, for sure. I think okay, so zooming back in time 3 years, Fiorentina was fresh off of 2 relegation battles, which is frankly pretty embarrassing for a club of this stature. I mean, Fiorentina is historically, I think, the 7th or 8th most successful club in Italy. Rocco Commisso had just bought it, American billionaire. If anyone here is a Mediacom customer, you're welcome, I suppose. But yeah, he's so he brought in a bunch of former figures from the club from the glory days, and it didn't really work out. Fiorentina under Giuseppe Iacchini, he kept him from going down, but also just played an extremely negative, defensive, rigid style that I think really hampered the development of some of the younger players considerably. And then Vincenzo Italiano, fresh off gaining promotion to Serie A for the first time with Spezia up in Liguria near Genoa, came in, young manager, reputation for being fairly attack-minded. And I think the most important thing, again, I don't really like saying it's just the vibes, but I think it really is just that's the biggest thing he changed. He got Fiorentina playing with a lot of confidence again, mostly by forcing them to play on the front foot, pressing high, controlling possession constantly. And I think, let's see now, that first year was a 7th place finish, and then looks like it'll be back-to-back 8th place finishes. And I think that's definitely closer to where Fiorentina ought to be historically. I mean, that said, it's only so far you can go, and Italiano is going to be leaving at the end of the year, so this is going to be his last game in charge. And that, I think it's going to be quite a shakeup throughout the organization. As you may know, the general manager of the team, Joe Barone, died very suddenly a couple months ago. So that's obviously been, besides just the enormous shock and sadness you feel about that. I mean, he's a young guy; he's 57, I think, which is just way too young. But I mean, let's do the post-human thing and ignore any emotional side to that. Just in terms of the team, that's going to be such a huge shakeup. He was very much the day-to-day operations and long-term operations guy. So with him gone, I think we're looking at a pretty substantial shakeup over the summer. So this does feel a little bit like the last hurrah for Vincenzo Italiano and the team that he's built. I think he's going to be very well remembered in Florence, but I think this is probably a good time to end this particular cycle.
So what he has done, I mean, even though you guys are sitting 7th, 8th in the table there, he's done some pretty remarkable things as far as what you would consider for the size of the team, the budget compared to the other teams, with the offense, his possession, the brand of possession, the defense, the high line that he plays. I mean, it's incredibly ambitious for what I would expect of a squad of that caliber. I mean, just looking here, because we did some rankings, where I went through Scout and I did some rankings in various categories. And in terms of overall possession share, second overall in Serie A, overall possession, first in least amount of shots allowed. You guys allow the least amount of shots in Italy, period. First in overall pressing intensity, PPDA, top 5 in terms of total touches in penalty area, on target percentage. It's remarkable. These are not things that I would expect Fiorentina to have. I would be expecting Inter. I would be expecting this from clubs like Milan or Juventus, maybe in a normal scenario, not in like a disaster scenario that they have experienced this year. But in just some very incredible things, lots of opportunities, and none of this is like a super absurd overperformance by any stretch. I mean, it all follows along with XG, XGA, whatever you follow. So can you what is it about the performances in Italy that have kept Fiorentina from going into that top 5 or in those Champions League places versus sitting like upper mid-table, we'll say?
I mean, I think it's mostly budget based more than anything. I think it's just that Fiorentina doesn't have the personnel to reach that level, quite frankly, and the club has not really invested heavily. Rocco Commisso built a state of the art training facility that opened, last year, I think, or no, earlier this year actually. But they've been working on it for a while, so that's where all the money's gone into. Now that it's open, maybe we see further investment in the team, but I'm not convinced that's really how it's going to go. Yeah, I think some of the numbers there, you've really put your finger on it. I mean, having that much of the ball, pressing that heavily, it's very impressive. The problem is, one, having the ball that much means that opponents can spend a lot of time in their defensive shape. And Fiorentina has trouble breaking down deep blocks. I mean, as does everyone, right? Like,
right.
Man City struggles breaking down a deep block sometime. I mean, that's because that's the hardest thing to do. So I think that one of Fiorentina's problems is that they're fantastic through the first 2/3. In that final third, they tend to slow down a lot. I think part of that is, frankly, they just don't have the horses to score goals when there's 8 or 9 in the box. And they leave themselves extremely open to counterattacks, sort of comically so. So, yeah, they concede very few shots, but if you hop on like FBref, which is Opta data, right?
It's StatsBomb.
Oh, it is StatsBomb? Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. You'll see that they're, what is it, like the chances they concede have the highest XG per chance in the league. So instead of allowing lots of low-quality chances, they allow a few extremely high-quality chances. And I think that is a real problem because it tends to leave them very open to bad things. And then when they're struggling to break down that really deep defense, I think they frequently default to just crossing the ball nonstop. And they don't really have anyone I would consider an ideal target man in that role. And they just generally don't really get enough bodies into the box. I think they have a lot of guys who like to wait just outside it. So it's very easy to bypass them if you get a good clearance. All of a sudden, a lot of space for opponents to break into. So I think that's probably my biggest tactical concern for this game. And I think that's probably the case for most Fiorentina fans, I would say.
And I think that you've answered. Notice SK here was asking about potential Fiorentina's weaknesses. I do scouting reports on our opponents, and I did an analysis that some people thought was very pessimistic, Noti included, about our chances because of what I saw there. And so you've given us first insight on one of the first areas where I also saw some opportunities that Olympiacos could take advantage of. And another thing I wanted to kind of ask was because you brought up that Fiorentina they concede very high XG per shot opportunities. And I did see that as well. They're actually Fiorentina sits 13th overall in Serie A in terms of the quality of shot opportunities they concede. So not amazing, but in terms of actual goals allowed, you're only 7th. Now, there's a couple of things that seem like they play into that. You have a goalkeeper that is a leader in terms of prevented goals per 90, so he seems to save quite a few opportunities. But your defense, in terms of shots blocked, has one of the highest percentages of shots blocked in the field of all defenses in Serie A. It's close to 30% of total shots, which is already, you guys allow the least amount of shots, period, in Serie A. But almost a third of those are getting blocked by the defenders before they get to the goal. So while you do seem to allow, when the chances come, they are really big chances, but your defense gets very condensed. Your goalkeeper does pretty well. So you have some really good pieces there to, at the very least, prevent a high volume of those opportunities. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's very much Italiano's principle. There is he doesn't want to concede too many chances, but I think he's pretty comfortable making ones he does concede, be fairly good ones. Yeah, starting with the goalkeeper Pietro Terracciano, sort of a funny career. He's definitely more of a journeyman. Was sort of a throwaway transfer, honestly, a couple years ago. But every time Fiorentina tries to upgrade between the sticks, whoever they bring in, it just doesn't work out. And he's, that meme of the Grim Reaper knocking on every door.
Yes,
that's Pietro Terracciano right there. Like, no matter what happens, he just sticks around. And he's, to his credit, he's been playing out of his mind this season. Last week, especially against Napoli, he was, against Cagliari. Sorry, Napoli on the mind. Against Cagliari, he was incredible. Made a bunch of just fantastic saves to keep him in that game. Defensively, they do have some quality defenders. I think the real problem there is that because they play such a high line, they're extremely exposed a lot. And the other thing is that the midfield does not offer any real resistance. The guys who've been in that area for the past month or two, Arthur Melo, the Juventus loanee, who's fantastic on the ball, not exactly a destroyer, let's say, off it.
Right.
And Giacomo Bonaventura, Jack, despite wearing number 5, he's definitely more of a number 10. Really prefers to get forward. I mean, he works hard. He's a consummate professional, despite being almost as old as I am. But again, he's just not a great ball winner. I don't think he gets to the right places. But it's not his game. And so I think opposing, especially teams that play with the number 10, can find a lot of room to operate in there. And I think that is a concern for me, especially given who y'all have playing at 10, even if he doesn't start. I think Stefan Jovetic is, every Fiorentina fan, especially ones of a certain age, have these nightmare. Like, I've been waking up sweating the past couple of nights just thinking about 92nd minute tie game, and ball drops to Jovetic and he just smashes it home. And oh God, and then I wake up screaming, and my wife's like pushes me out of bed like, you're doing it again. It's terrible. Like, we all know it's going to happen.
So since you brought it up, I do kind of want to broach that subject there, because Stefan Jovetic, who's been the case of Jovetic for Olympiacos this year, is an interesting one. And Olympiacos has had a crazy season. I know you've already heard about it before.
Yeah.
So it's been a rocky roller coaster this season. I mean, we're on our third manager. We've had players in, out, that, most of these players, except for some of the newer ones that came in January, even them, they have seen 2 managers. In fact, the previous manager brought some of these players in, guys like David Carmo, Chiquinho, Horta. Like, these guys came in because of him, and here we are now with a new manager. Jovetic has been through that, and he was used incorrectly in the beginning of the year, and then ever since we brought our Basque manager, Jose Luis Mendilibar, he's been used in a completely different manner, and we've really gotten to see him showcase his talents. He's done very well for us. But then in the last month, he really has not played. Against Aston Villa, we should say. Aston Villa, and then in our matches in Greece this past week, he really wasn't used very much. And we have quite a few options in that 10 area, we'll say. Guys like Kostas Fortounis, 30 goal contributions on the year. You have guys like Daniel Podence, all that can create and go inside, including Jovetic. So what is it? Is it really a... I should start by asking this first. Jovetic to Fiorentina fans. It sounds like the way you speak about him, he's still beloved by the fan base.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We love Jojo. He's when he came in as a teenager with the curly hair down past his shoulders, he was just such a fun player. The 2 goals he scored in the Champions League at Liverpool to win that. I mean, just a wonderful player. Always seemed like he was having a great time. I think when he left for Man City, again, I think every fan has never wished him anything but the best. And unfortunately, he's had so many issues with injuries over the past few years. We haven't gotten to see much of him. But I think I can speak for most Fiorentina fans when I say we're all just delighted to see him back and thriving and scoring goals again.
Yeah. Even against you, if it happens. I mean, and he's such I love his touch. His touch is so clean.
Yeah.
And I completely blanked on this, but he did come in our last game of the season, and he came in the clutch for us because he had a goal and an assist in that last game, which got us the draw and sealed us with some form of European competition next year to take that weight off of our shoulders, because it's our 100-year anniversary. And if we have no European competition for our 100-year anniversary, it's pretty bad. So at least we have something.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, man, I actually watched some of that game, and Daniel Podence, holy smokes, what a ride that guy is.
Mm-hmm.
Just yikes. A little bit of everything. I love it.
Yeah. So, but in reality, Fiorentina fans, you guys actually have a fear that Jovetic could come on and perform some of this last minute magic for you guys, or against you guys, I should say.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the goal dell'ex is a thing you always read about in Italian soccer coverage. And I think Fiorentina is as prone to getting scored on by former players as just about anyone. So yeah, I'm utterly terrified of that. I'm utterly terrified of that. I mean, obviously, I think that El Kaabi is the real threat. His off-ball running looks like it's exactly the kind of thing that gives Fiorentina a lot of trouble. Watching the way he times his runs through the lines. Again, real concerned about that, but I think just in terms of like the sheer emotional punch in the crotch, I think Jovetic is the one who scares me more than that.
It's funny you bring up El Kaabi, because I just had this whole earlier today, this whole bit about El Kaabi, because obviously our fans are saying the same thing. We need El Kaabi to be extremely efficient again, keep scoring, put goals in, do his off the ball work, because that's going to be the most important. Whereas I am of a little bit different perspective on that. Obviously, I value that, but for me, and I don't know if you paid attention to him at all, or if you know anything about him. For me, our most important piece going into this game is Santiago Hesse. And I posted his data on socials for everybody to see. But for me, our livelihood in this game, whether we win or lose, will be on the back of that player. You don't see him on highlight reels because he doesn't do anything in the final third in that respect. He's a ball winner. He covers the defensive line, and he gets us to the final third. So does all the hard work. The guy is bionic. He played like every match. He played 3 games in a week. He'll play 120 minutes if it goes that far.
Yikes.
And he doesn't stop running. And he has continued to do so for the course of the season. And for anybody that didn't see it, CIES, the Football Observatory in Europe, they created a metric where they gauge player impactfulness. So Santiago Hesse is the most impactful player at Olympiacos by their rubric. And all of it is because of the dual wins he has, interceptions, how he plays the ball, how accurate he plays the ball. He is the closest thing we've had to a beloved midfielder that was here a few years ago, Guilherme, Brazilian midfielder that's off playing in Qatar, I believe. And it's the closest that we have gotten to replacing them. Now, he doesn't have the dribbling ability, but everything he has, the way he anticipates, and the way we employ our pressing traps, which you and I will get into about the difference between Fiorentina and Olympiacos in a second. But our pressing capability hinges on him and his partner Chiquinho. If those two are not operating at 200%, our primary source of pressure in this game, which is the press, if we lose that, there's no hope for us to win this game. Now, that being said, this team, as I mentioned, the core part of our game is our pressing strategy and our counter press via press traps and how we react to the press. How does Fiorentina react to teams that are very strong, not just in the press, but in the counter press?
Oh, man. I think one of the things that Italiano has really adapted to maybe halfway through this season has been that Fiorentina used to try and play through everything, very, De Zerbi style, just invite pressure deep and play through. I think they got turned over, caught one too many times, and he's basically just said, sorry, am I allowed to curse on this podcast?
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, he's basically just said, fuck it, let's thump it long to the big boys up front. I mean, they brought in Andrea Bellotti on loan from Roma over the winter, and I think at this point, he's not really ever going to be a scorer again, but he's good in the air. He's solid holding up the ball, good at winning duels with center backs. Christian Kwame, who's the left winger, has got maybe the craziest vertical of anyone in Serie A. He gets up, and Nico Gonzalez, who's obviously the key man, is astonishingly good in the air. And headers from him, I think, is going to be one of Fiorentina's main routes to goal. But yeah, a lot of the time now when they get pinned back, they'll just bang it out to the wings and let Nico or Kwame try to flick it on and just get out that way instead of trying to play on the ground.
So Nico Gonzalez, we identified him as a player to watch. 20 goal contributions, and the guy is quick. He can turn direction very fast. And I was surprised because I don't usually see players that have that type of agility and they're really good on the ground, also being amazing in the air too. So he can really, he can do kind of a lot of everything. He can take players on one-on-one. His pass and move is also very good. How did you guys find this guy?
He was at Stuttgart and was missed, I think, the most of the season before he came over with an injury, which I think probably knocked a little bit off his price tag. But the Nicolas Burdizo, who certain listeners of a certain generation rather might remember from his days as an Argentina and Roma player, has been heading up Fiorentina's scouting department for the past couple of years.
Oh,
and
wow.
he's got a lot of connections in Argentina, and I think that's what brought him over. Burdizo, another one who's probably going to leave at the end of the year, in fact.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, Nico, he's a funny player in a lot of ways. He's left-footed, plays on the right wing, so naturally you expect him to cut in and shoot.
Right.
I feel like he never actually scores those goals, ever.
No, never. I didn't see one context like that.
Yeah, which is just bizarre to me. His greatest contribution is attacking the back post for crosses, because he's usually got an aerial advantage on any fullback, and he times his jumps so well. He's lethal in the air. But yeah, he's a little bit funny because you look at him and he's a small, quick Argentine creative dribbler. You're like, oh yeah, he's absolutely going to be cut inside and shoot. And honestly, I think if I were Mendilibar, that's what I would be encouraging more than letting him attack that back post for headers.
Well, beyond just Nico Gonzalez, it seems like a lot of the goals Fiorentina scores, they pack players, and there's like 3, 4, 5 players that get into the penalty area, and and in those cases, if they're not crashing the goal or getting bodies into the box to get these maybe more scrappy goals, we'll call them. There's these balls being played literally across, like between the penalty area and the top of the 18, and there's just shots being ripped up there that are hitting corners. I at one point I was just counting the number of times it was one of those contexts for the goal, and it was the vast majority of them. So is this something that you guys see, whether it's in Serie A or in the Conference League? I mean, what do you guys see as your usual cases for context? We'll say for scoring.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I mean, set pieces are a huge one.
Right.
Fiorentina's top 2 scorers are Nico Gonzalez and then Jack Bonaventura, and then a center back, Lucas Martinez Cuarta, who is also a genuinely hilarious player. The man so badly wants to be a striker. He frequently just takes off from open play and pops up in the opposition box. He's a lunatic.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Also, that thing I was saying about how open Fiorentina looks to counters, there it is. But yeah, Fiorentina, great at set pieces. I think they've scored more headed goals than anyone in Serie A this year. And
wow.
The set pieces are a big piece of it. A lot of crosses, particularly from the left side. Cristiano Biraghi is a crosser of just absurd proportion. I wrote an article, I think last year, and found that he crosses the ball more frequently than anyone in Europe. I think Cristiano Biraghi alone crossed the ball more than like 4 or 5 teams in Serie A. Like, he's just up there and launching the ball into the middle constantly at a rate that is truly extraordinary. He's not the most accurate crosser, but he's putting them in there.
Incredible volume. I brought him up in my scouting report. He's your left back, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. That absolutely crazy with this guy.
Yeah, he's been a little more withdrawn this year. I think Italiano has pulled him back a little more, played him a little bit more centrally, given him a bit more of a playmaking role, because he is a good long passer, good creative passer, very dangerous from free kicks also. Actually scored one against Cagliari last week, so one to keep an eye on. He'll take most of the set pieces, but definitely keep an eye out for him overlapping and trying to hit that back post for Gonzalez. I think that's probably the main feature of Fiorentina's attack. On the other side, Dodo, very small, which can lead to him struggling defensively at times, but he's very quick. He likes to cut infield to break the press, especially when he's pressed deep. He'll just jet infield a little bit and then turn up and break the press that way. The rest of the buildup, I feel like they don't build up as well through central areas. They're definitely focused on the wide areas. Those low balls across the box are real big. I think a lot of the time this year, the strikers have basically been decoys. Belotti's got 2 goals in the league in the half season he's been here. Mbalo Nzola has shown some signs of life, but I think he's got maybe 4 or 5 the whole season, which is not a very good return. Lucas Beltran, he wears number 9, played as a 9, but he's definitely more of a 10 and is much more comfortable finding little pockets of space. Same for Bonaventura. So they both really try to find those spaces to operate in. And so I think that, a lot of the time you'll see the strikers, I think it's probably going to be Belotti in this one, really attack the box hard and try to drag the defenders with him and open up a little bit space. So I think they've pretty much accepted the number 9 is just a decoy, really, rather than a goal threat.
That's very interesting. Definitely something very interesting that we should look out for. We have a question from somebody here actually regarding Cuarta. Cuarta is like Stones last year, basically playing as a midfielder when in possession and as a center back when defending. It's a question. Sorry, I read that like a statement. But so yeah, the more on to that, because in the scouting report that I did, there were so many phases where Quarta would like come up into the
Yeah.
midfield, or somebody you had the other midfielder when Arthur Melo was not playing, that would drop back and make it like sometimes like a back three. So just a lot of different shapes that Vincenzo Italiano uses, especially coming out of the back. Maybe we can just talk about starting 11 and what you think how he will approach, what shapes he might make out of that. Maybe that'll address that question. So let's have a look at what you think the starting 11 will be going into this match and how this could materialize on the field.
For sure, yeah. On paper, it'll be a 4-2-3-1. It's really been the shape all year. Pietro Terracciano in goal, Cristiano Biraghi at left back, Dodo at right back. There's three options in the middle. I think it's probably going to be Nikola Milenkovic and Lucas Martinez Quarta, but Luca Ranieri might get a chance. He's also left-footed, so having him on the left of the center backs is helpful in possession. But I think it's probably going to be Martinez Quarta and Milenkovic, who've both been a little bit mistake-prone, especially through the past few months, which is a concern. I'd expect Arthur and Bonaventura as the double pivot, and then probably Lucas Beltran as the 10, Nico Gonzalez on the right, Christian Kwame on the left, and Andrea Belotti up top. Slight chance we see Rolando Mandragora in there instead of Bonaventura. Slight chance for maybe Mbalanzola up top, but I don't really think so. I think the 11's pretty well locked in. As far as some of the relationships on the field between those players, I think this is something that I've been really interested in with Italiano, that shows that he's thinking deeply about the game and has really grown as a manager over the past few years. Especially from goal kicks, in deep build-up situations. Arthur will switch places with one of the center backs, generally Martinez Quarta, so that he can get on the ball quicker and dominate that build-up, orchestrate it from deep. And that other center back will step forward and serve essentially as a blocker, really, just a body to occupy space and force an opposing forward or midfielder to step to him and track him. And that makes more space for whoever's on the ball deeper. But yeah, you will definitely notice Martinez Quarta occasionally like coming forward to win a knockdown off a forward, which is just bizarre. I'm not honestly crazy about it, but he is a lot of fun to watch. You can see the diesel fumes coming out of him, which is pretty rare. Yeah, just pretty rare for a central defender, I feel like.
Right.
But yeah, I think most of what you can expect is Arthur trying to dominate play, get touches deep in his own half, really control things from back there. He doesn't offer much in the final third. I think that's been probably the biggest criticism of him throughout his career, really, but also in Florence.
Right.
Going to see a lot of spreading the ball wide. Fiorentina doesn't switch the ball quite as much as I would like. I think when you have that much of the ball, the other team's pinned deep. I think it's really helpful to have someone who can just spray that ball, 50, 60 yards across, change the angle. Doesn't tend to happen as much. If it does, it'll probably be from the center backs to the wingers.
Okay.
The midfielders don't generally look for that pass as much as you might expect, given their technical quality. Beltran is also an interesting player. He wears number 9, but he drops really deep to pick up the ball sometimes. I think too deep sometimes, and it leaves the center forward really isolated.
Okay.
But he's very good at finding space, clever on the ball. I don't think he's quite consistent enough with his end product, especially around the box. Seems a little hesitant to shoot at times, but he gets through a lot of running. Really good at pressing also. He's got the strangest knack I've ever seen for a guy winning the ball from a goalkeeper. and scored. Like, I think he scored 2 or 3 times that way, where he just closes down a goalkeeper and like the ball bounces off him into the net. It's really
Oh,
weird.
wow.
Yeah, so he
That's
he
interesting.
loves pressing. Yeah, he loves getting forward.
I did not notice that at all. So that's
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, it's bizarre. Like he's just a little maelstrom of chaos off the ball, which I like. But he's again on the ball. I think he needs a little more time to really adjust.
Okay.
And yeah, I think those are probably the main ones. Like I said, you're going to see a lot of balls lofted out to the wingers to try and knock down. Probably see the midfielders drifting wide and leaving the middle of the field like weirdly empty at times. Also, yeah.
One quick question for you,
Sure.
before we look at some questions and comments from some of the audience. So in Conference League, we had taken a look at your open play attacks, and we really see that left side favored more than anything else. So based on everything you've told me and what you mentioned before, I'm guessing then that's mainly going to be your left back then is going to be really at the crux of most of those attacks going forward,
Yes.
playing the ball in. And really, even though Nico Gonzalez is on that right side, unless he's getting the ball and making the moves in, the attacks won't be built up deeper from that right side as much. I was just curious about that based on everything that you were telling me. It kind of gives me a little bit different context than I expected from what I was seeing, at least in the data.
Yeah, I think Biragi leads the team in touches pretty much every game.
Oh wow, as a fullback too. Incredible.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, he's a weird statistical outlier kind of player in that regard. So I think some of that is that he's been kept a little bit deeper to build play this year. But yeah, definitely very left hand heavy on the build up. I think a lot of that is to try and suck defenses over towards the left and give Nico that 1v1 on the right as the finisher for an aerial ball. But yeah, I think Dodo, for example, is good on the ball, but not a particularly creative passer. He's definitely more of a dribbler or I mean, he'll overlap sometimes and cross, but that's not really his game. He likes playing to feet more. And then yeah, with Nico, given a pretty free role, he'll frequently move infield to and play as a second number 10 or push up top as 9. So I think you see a lot more structure on the left, where Christian Kwame is. He's a good player, and he's surprisingly good as a dribbler, but he can also look a little bit awkward with the ball. He's not the most creative passer. He's definitely more functional. I think he's there in large part also because he's really good defensively. He tracks back really well, covers a lot of ground, and offers Biragi some protection that he definitely needs. Biragi can be really slow. Faster players can turn him, for sure. I assume that's something Mendeleev is looking at very, very closely. But yeah, no, I think with Kwame sort of staying put, Biragi getting forward, and then, Beltran likes to drift out to the wings a lot, especially to the left. And Jack Bonaventura tends to drift out to the left too, so he can cut inside a little bit more. So yeah, I feel like Fiorentina is just naturally geared to go down that side a lot more than on the right or through the middle.
And one final question about that left side link up is:
Yeah.
Is Arthur Melo the one that's releasing Biragi more down that left side, or is it Beltran that's going over there and playing off of him and releasing him?
Some of both. I mean, Biragi will.
Okay.
He'll spend a lot of time very high up. I think Bonaventura finds that overlap pretty well. Beltran sometimes. Kwame. I mean, I think the pretty much everyone understands that like just getting the ball wide and letting Biragi have a swing at it. It's just something that's going to happen a lot, no matter what. And I think as the captain, also there's that like social component to it also, where you want to give your captain, your veteran player, a lot of touches on the ball. So when he overlaps, they tend to find him.
Okay. So kind of as we're getting towards the end here, we're almost an hour in, guys. If you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe. if we're summarizing kind of the strengths and weaknesses of Fiorentina here, really there's so many similarities to how Fiorentina plays to kind of like how we are. Only
Yeah.
Fiorentina is just better. And like, if we're being honest, better on paper, especially if I'm looking at just
on paper.
like on paper. Yeah, on paper, obviously. There's different context with matchups. Like, we've played against Aston Villa and Fenerbahce, who were both, them and Lille, who Aston Villa beat in the quarterfinals, were the top three favorites to win the Conference League when the knockout started. So maybe there's an argument you could say one side of the bracket was a little bit harder than the other. But on paper, if we're looking at everything held equal, Fiorentina has the way they possess is better. Build up out of the back is better, more efficient in the box. They get bodies in the box. So the strengths for me, and again, you correct me and add anything if you think I'm wrong here. Fiorentina's high line, high press is a huge factor for them. The way it dispossesses. You even brought up how in some cases you can apply pressure to a goalkeeper and steal a ball off the goalkeeper and get a goal off that. That is high line, high pressure for me. Now, of course, we'll get into the weaknesses and how it works against you, but that pressure being created is huge for you. Being on the ball all the time, getting bodies able to get bodies in the box to finish these chances. And I hear I hear this stuff and I think about all the things we're so bad at. And one thing is getting bodies in our own box. Forget bodies in the offensive box. Getting bodies in our own penalty area. Terrible. So many different contexts for one of your biggest threats, Nico Gonzalez, going against what has been our weakest side of the field all season, is that left side. Now, both of our starting left backs should be available, but both of them have not done very well for us. One better than the other, but both of them have not been amazing for us this season, offensively or defensively, we'll say. So that doesn't make me feel good either. So all of these different contexts as far as your strengths play right into so many of what I consider to be our weaknesses. Set pieces. We have not been very good on set pieces either. Better recently, but not good all season. Did I miss anything as far as strengths go?
No, I think that covers it pretty well. Yeah, I mean, some good dribblers through the middle, but again, we don't see much of that. Yeah, I think that's probably it. Yeah, no, I think you're good.
Now, weaknesses. Again, this is real, and for me, it's really one weakness that I think we're capable of exploiting, and that is how high the line gets, how we can exploit the long ball. Because Mendilibar, even before he came to Olympiacos, we knew long balls were something that he would never shy away from. And we have had great success on the counter, long ball directly to our wingers, whether it's Daniel Podence, whether we catch El Kabi in stride. The long ball has been something that's been very valuable for us in that respect as we suck defenses in deep. We caught Aston Villa. We caught Fenerbahce. So obviously, seeing that you are vulnerable to this, there is really only this context I see that we could take advantage of. Unless you can think of something else of a weakness that you think we could take advantage of.
I think I would mention two, actually. I think the long ball definitely going to be a major vulnerability. The second one is that Fiorentina just leaks in stupid goals a lot. It's just, it's just the tax. Oh yeah, no, it feels like it's just paying the tax, man. Like every game, it's like just every game starts a goal behind. No, I think watching that Cagliari game from last week is probably going to be very interesting for Mendilibar. I mean, Cagliari was, I think they finished 15th, but they were only 3 points out of the relegation places. So not a good team, did not have a good season. And I think played in some ways very similar to how Olympiacos will play.
Right.
They pressed really high, pinned Fiorentina back, and focused on getting the ball into the wide area and crossing. I don't think the crossing will be quite as much a thing. But Fiorentina looked extremely rattled for that whole game, did not deserve to win it. So I think that's something that Mendilibar will be watching. I think the other advantage y'all have is well, Mendilibar. I mean, he's a really good coach.
Right.
Also, anyone with that Sevilla DNA, I fear in a European final because that's just what they do. But yeah, I think that he's. I mean, I remember his reputation with Sevilla, especially, has always been uh, kind of like Greg Popovich, say, or Bill Belichick. You figure out what the opposing team wants to do most and take that away. And if they're going to beat
Right.
you, they have to beat you with their second choice. And Italiano has not shown a lot of facility for having that plan B. And I think that concerns me quite a bit. I can absolutely see Mendilibar out scheming him in this one.
Giving a lot of positivity to the audience that I did not give them before, so I'm sure they'll be thankful. Now, Tito, we are coming on an hour here, so we're going to get ready to close up. We do have a couple of fan questions and comments here.
Oh yeah.
The first one here from George Gadilis thinks you look like Diego Costa.
That's funny. I usually get Allison actually, which is even better.
I didn't even think about that one. I saw him say Diego Costa, and I could see it. So
That's funny. I do have a grandfather who was born in Rio, so yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it for sure.
There you go,
George. Thanks very much.
So I saw a very interesting question here from Notis SK. One more question for Tito. They've only gotten 7 to 8 wins in Serie A and conference. Are they, in his opinion, struggling away from home? So I'm guessing 7, 8 away wins is what he's saying. So is playing away a difficult? Because it will in some ways be like a home game. We have a lot of fans that will be there. It's in Greece, so in that respect, the atmosphere should be in our favor.
I think so. Yeah, I'm actually intrigued to see this atmosphere. I've gotten so many communications from like Panathinaikos and Ike fans asking for Fiorentina tickets to try and flood the visitor section, which I don't think is going to happen. Sorry, everybody. Not happening. If you're a Fiorentina fan, you're not missing this. I think that Fiorentina struggled away from home some this year. More than that, they've just been frankly terrible in Serie A recently. I think they've since the new year. I think they're, if you look at the table, they've picked up like the 15th most points in the league. So since the turn of the new year, no, just in general.
Oh, okay.
And so since the new year, they've just been bad and really just kind of flying by the seats of their pants. Even in the Conference League, they have not made it easy for themselves, let's say. Away from home, I think they struggle a little bit. I'm not too worried, honestly, in that regard. I haven't seen anything that looks like it's like a real diagnosable problem to me. I mean, I think sometimes they just play bad. Sometimes that's at home. Sometimes that's away. I think it's mostly they've just had a couple of bad bounces. Mostly self-inflicted, frankly.
Right.
But no, I'm not too worried about the away part, especially since so many of the guys on this roster were in this same position last year.
Right. Exactly. They've been here before. They know the deal.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, they know how to lose it at least. So there's that. But, but yeah.
Stop feeding the audience hope because there's already too many people I think are overly optimistic about this game.
Oh, I'm not optimistic at all. Honestly, I cannot imagine Fiorentina winning a trophy. They haven't won one since 2001. I've never seen them win one, and I just assume I never will. So
we've never won a European trophy. We've never gotten this far in a European competition ever. So that's
fair. But I mean, I feel like the Fiorentina way is like, what's the most heartbreaking thing? Get back to the final, lose it to Jovetic, 92nd minute. That one for sure. That's what the universe has in store for us. There's not a doubt in my mind.
No disrespect. I hope that happens. I would love that. And I should correct myself. We did win the youth league, the UEFA youth league title. So we did win that, I should say. So that technically that's our first European title.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool.
So We have, you know what? Actually, I'll park this comment because we're about to get into our game predictions in a second. We have a question here from Yorgos Moutzanos, and I do want your take on this, Tito, because that's right. In Yorgos said, Adi, in your scouting report, you said we might score from a long shot. Do you think Horta will start because he's the only midfielder that actually shoots, and he's improved on that? So I almost forgot about this, Tito. I saw a number of goals, both in Conference League and Serie A, like goals from shots that were either at the 18, like in that area we were talking about that Fiorentina can score a lot from, or further out, like between 20 to 25 meters. There was quite a few of those types of goals, actually. So I wasn't sure if that was like something that was on your mind as far as defensive vulnerabilities.
Yeah, a little bit. I think, I mean, the shots from distance, like Andre Horta he can just hit a ball. So yeah, that's definitely a stressor. Ditto for Jovetic, especially. I mean, I think the bigger concern is definitely more, like you said, the midfielders losing their runners. So if if Olympiacos can get numbers into the box, Arthur and Jack Bonaventura sometimes aren't great at tracking back. Okay. So it's just not really either of their game. So yeah, I think getting that second runner, that late run in, is something Fiorentina really struggles to track. That said, if you look on FBref, out of every team in Serie A, the ones who allow the closest average shot is Fiorentina.
Oh my goodness!
Which goes to that conceding few chances, but conceding really, really good ones. So yeah, I'm not as worried about the long shots, honestly, as I am the closer in ones.
You're making everybody so happy with your negativity, I should say.
Hey, I'm glad I could offer that.
So I saw there were a couple of other comments here, two in particular I wanted to get to. You brought up about the Panathinaikos fans, and was it AEK fans you said that were asking you for tickets? So there was an Italian journalist that was being quoted in Greece, and I saw a comment over here, and I'm trying to find it, but there was an Italian journalist that had mentioned that there were only 3,000 Fiorentina fans that he said are going to get tickets, or that were going to go to the game. Here it is from Yannis Spinos. Federico De Sinopoli told Corriere del Sport a couple weeks ago that only 3,000 fans for Fiorentina fans were coming to Athens, and that there was this whole thing about Panathinaikos fans getting tickets, but now it seems like Fiorentina is using their full allocation.
Yeah, they're going to use it. I don't want to say anything bad about De Sinopoli. I don't know him personally. I will say I don't find him to be the most reliable source frequently.
Got it.
Let's go with that. I don't want to get into legal water here.
Of course.
No, I think Fiorentina fans are going to travel pretty well. I think last I saw it was something around 7,000 were expected.
Okay.
Also, just the way that ticketing works in Italy, like there's not really a way for those fans to sell their tickets. Like you have to present ID usually upon entering the stadium.
Yeah.
As a ticket holder.
Greece, they'll do that for sure.
Yeah. So I think that was probably someone trying to stir stuff up. I don't think it's going to happen, quite frankly.
Okay.
But
that's good to know, because that's something that huge, hotly contested, very topic that people have been upset about, which is the allocation of tickets, especially in Greece, the way the federation has handled it, how certain individuals have gotten tickets and suites, but neither Fiorentina ownership or Olympiacos ownership have suites at this, and they're the teams actually playing in the final. There's been a whole all craziness.
I bet you'll hear about that from Rocco B. Camiso at some point here.
Oh boy,
so be ready for that.
I'm sure. We have my Cubato in here, Ian Chambers, also making fun of my lack of tan from being at the beach. I saw that, Ian. I saw that. But he says, who all from Gate 7 International will be at the game? Need a celeb appearance from Peter Thompson, the OG legend. So actually, as I was telling Tito before we went live, the entire team is in Greece. The entire team will be at the game. We are doing various things with various outlets, like different interviews with different outlets and things the next couple of days. But everybody will be there tomorrow. I think that they're getting together somewhere tomorrow for drinks somewhere. Check out socials. They may be getting together, but they'll definitely meet up somewhere outside the stadium. A lot of stuff going on, but every member of the team is in Greece. They are all going to the game. So hopefully we get some great content for you guys there, but everyone is in Greece. So a lot of great stuff coming out there. Check socials. If you will be in Greece, hopefully you can meet up with everyone. You know for sure there's a vlog happening, guys. So if you're there, go in, show your face, say hi, and you can be recorded for that. Tito, one last thing before we go into match predictions. Ian heard you were from Texas. He wants to know what your favorite barbecue sauce is.
Oh man, I'm from Central Texas, partly in Austin, partly kind of outside of Austin. Man, favorite barbecue. Oh geez, I think my favorite was probably Ruby's with a B, not a D, not the chain. In Austin, I thought they were really good. But I'd say you probably have to get out to like Lockhart maybe to really get the best stuff.
The good stuff.
Yeah, I think Lockhart's probably the mecca. There's a couple of spots up there. A lot of people like going to Elgin. I don't think Elgin's quite as good. So yeah, I'll say Lockhart is probably your best option if you go up 183 there. Geez, what's that guy's name? There's a whole family of them they all own different restaurants, and the one I'm thinking of, he's the son. He's in his personal life. I've worked in restaurants a little bit back in Austin. In his personal life, I think he's had some problems, but man could smoke a brisket.
There you
Say
go.
that much. Yeah. Holy crap. But yeah.
I love it. I love it. So you guys heard it from the Texan himself, where you can get the best barbecue. There you go. So Tito, here we are. We're coming up to the end of the show here. You've been with us for over an hour, and we would be remiss if we did not get some kind of score prediction from you. We got your potential starting 11. We've talked about the shape. We've talked about strategy. We've talked about players. We've talked about everything else. But now we need to know the purple perspective. How do you see the final? And you've had this negative outlook on Fiorentina for most of the night. Does this carry into your score prediction? Tell me, how do you see Fiorentina finishing this match? Your second final in a row.
Yeah, every time I write a match preview, the joke is I always predict a 2-1 win for Fiorentina, no matter what. So I'm just going to do that again, even though I don't believe it's actually going to happen. Manifest what you wish to see in the universe or whatever. So realistically, I don't think it's going to be real high scoring. Fiorentina hasn't had a lot of high scoring matches recently. So I'm going to say I would think 2 goals will probably be enough to win it for either side. I'll call it 2-1 to Fiorentina. Sure. I mean, I'm sure also that's not going to be right, and everyone can come back and make fun of me afterwards, which I'm comfortable with. But yeah, let's say, dang, the crowd's turning.
You anymore, Tito from GOK.
I can see the audience getting the rotten fruit ready, hook me off stage here. I'll say 2-1. I think that El Kaabi is absolutely nailed on to score. He looks like the kind of guy who's just going to make a smart run. One of the defenders is going to lose him, and he's going to just take one touch and finish. I really think that's going to happen. I would absolutely back him to score. For Fiorentina, I'll say Bonaventura and Nico Gonzalez to score probably. Nico probably off a cross, and Bonaventura, I'm going to say, we call him Jack only hits banger, so I'm going to say he's going to score one from outside the box because he's fairly consistent on that, especially in big games. As a veteran player, he's seen it all. I think, this is the kind of game he shows up in. He scored Fiorentina's only goal in the final last season as well. But But yeah, realistically, also I wouldn't be shocked to see a set piece goal from Milenkovic or Martinez Cuarta, maybe even Luca Ranieri if he plays. But yeah, let's say 2-1. Fiorentina probably winning the possession battle, but having some real nervy moments, trying to defend counters and playing themselves into a couple of traps and getting turned over. I'm definitely anticipating that. I think it's going to be a really good game, honestly. I'm excited. I think tactically these two sides really match up pretty well. And yeah, man, also, I just really, again, I know that we're supposed to hate each other and all this ahead of the final, but like, it's just, I just love that there's a Greek team in this. I think it's such a good reminder. Like, so much of the discourse for soccer fans online is about like farmers leagues and all
Right.
this just sheer idiocy that I find extremely upsetting, and like this willful display of ignorance. So yeah, I'm delighted that y'all are in it. I mean, if you win, obviously I'll be very sad, but I think I would also rather have y'all win it than like Aston Villa or something. So there's that. But yeah, man, no, I think it's going to be a really good one. I'm expecting a heck of an atmosphere. Hopefully not quite as crazy as last year when Baragi got hit in the head with a vape pen that someone threw from the stands.
It
And
was a vape pen? I thought it
yeah,
was
it
a
was a
bottle.
no, it was a vape pen. Yeah, that left him just spraying blood all down the side of his face.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's also clear that I mean, I think he might have been concussed because he was not really in the game after that, as you can probably imagine. So yeah, I'm hoping we don't see anything like that because that is bad. But yeah, man, I think it's going to be a really good game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm delighted that all your co-hosts are over there in Piraeus. Sounds like, or in Athens rather. Sounds like Piraeus is really getting geared up for it. I know Florence is. They've got the stadium open, the training center open. They're going to be showing it on screens all over the place. I think in the main square too. I think it's just going to be a lot of fun for everyone.
It will be. It's going to be. It'll be pretty nuts. I think. I mean, if you're in Greece, it's crazy. I mean, it already is getting crazy, and it already was getting crazy too because in many of the areas where I'm expecting people are going to be, especially if Olympiacos wins. Panathinaikos was just having their celebrations all over the place in Athens because they won EuroLeague.
Yeah.
So Greece is going to be nuts one way or another. Look, for me, either way. I've been saying this on this show, and it's funny because now I have another American here that at least I know will understand what I'm saying. But I've been saying this whole time, we're playing with house money because of what has been going on this season. In January, when we still had Carlos Carvajal as our coach, I wasn't expecting European anything. I was expecting us to lose in the round of 32 to Ferencváros from Hungary. That's how bad I thought this team was. I wasn't expecting us to even be competitive in the playoffs. I thought fourth place, and that was it. We probably would have no Europe. That's what I was thinking. And then all of a sudden, we're here. We got to this point. It was ugly against Ferencváros, but we did the job. Then we turned the tide against Maccabi Tel Aviv, a 4-1 deficit, and we turned it over away. And
crazy.
And from there, then it was okay. Fenerbahce, different animal Fenerbahce than we were used to. You brought up the farmers thing. They called us farmers. They called Jovetic a cotton picker. So amazing. And then, we turned it around against one of the favorites to win the whole thing. Then we did what we did against Aston Villa in the semifinals to get here. For me, this is house money. Obviously, I want to win. Obviously, I believe this team will win. But for me, I'm proud of whatever happens. Now, for my match prediction, I am not quite as confident. I have been probably the more pessimistic of everybody going into this. I see this going into penalties. I think it's going to be a very aggressive. We're going to see pressing. I think in some respects, people would say it'll be ugly because of the way. I think it'll be a very physical game. I think Fiorentina will be dominant on the ball, but there will be scares both ways. I see 1-1 going into penalties. But then in penalties, my boy Kostas Cholakis is going to do what he did against Fenerbahce. And I see Olympiacos through all of that. I'm going to probably have a heart attack. I won't be able to watch the game because I'll be so stressed. But I think my
Oh,
boy
no.
Kostas Solakis can do it in penalties.
Oh man, I would believe that. And hey, if it comes to that, Fiorentina's been terrible from the spot this year. Missed a bunch of
That's great.
penalties.
Sorry.
Yeah. No. I'll just end this on a positive note for y'all. Also, Pietro Terraggiano is famous among Fiorentina fans for never saving penalties. I think he's saved like 2 in his 3 years here. So if it goes to spot kicks, y'all can probably feel pretty good.
You heard it here first on Gate 7 International, boys. If we get boys and girls, we have females in the audience. A lot higher proportion than I ever expected. We saw the data the other day. So thank you, ladies, for following us. Speaking of ladies, our women's water polo team, I forgot to mention that they won the championship for the 11th year in a row in Greece. Crazy stuff. But
wow,
you heard it here first, boys and girls. Fiorentina, the goalkeeper, not so good on penalties. So let's get to penalties at least.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway, guys, we are almost an hour and a half in here. Tito, thank you so much for getting through this with us. Thank you so much for joining me for so long. I did not intend for this to be this long at all. We just kept talking and things happened. So I really appreciate your time. Before we go ahead and sign off here, please tell the fans where they can follow you, where they can follow things. I'm sure you're going to be doing things leading up to the game. So where can they watch you? Where can they listen? Where can they read? Let them know.
Oh, yeah. So violanation.com is the website. We're also on Twitter, Viola_nation. We've got a podcast you can find pretty much anywhere. Just look up Viola Nation. Yeah, man, stop by. The comment section on the website is great. A lot of people who've been in there for a long time. It's really friendly atmosphere. Swing by, say hey. Everyone's nice. And yeah, just looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on, Art. It's really been a blast.
Yeah, thank you again for joining us. Guys, you heard it. Tito from Viola Nation. You can follow him if you want to check him out on Twitter right now. You can check them out. It is at Viola_nation. That is on Twitter. You have Instagram or Facebook handles, or is it primarily just Twitter?
No, it's just Twitter. I'm terrible at social media. I don't do any of it really.
And you heard him. You can check him out on the podcast. If I remember correctly, it's actually the Viola Station is the podcast, right?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's weird. You can find it under either one.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure how they've managed to do that, but it's both of them now. So yeah, we're out there, man. You can find
Viola
us.
Nation, Viola Station, it all rhymed. You should be able to find either way. Look, thank you everybody for tuning in and for staying along. Over 200 of you have stuck with us through this whole way.
Wow.
And even more have come in and out as the show has gone on. Really excited. Great stuff here. Tito gave us a really awesome inside look from a purple perspective, as we like to say, of what we can expect maybe from Fiorentina. It is going to be an insane match, the context of which is completely different than what Olympiacos has dealt with so far coming into this. So it's going to be a crazy match. It is going to be stressful. I'm already anxious. I'm not going to sleep at all until Wednesday. I probably won't. Whatever happens, I won't sleep afterward either. I'll be either too happy to sleep or too upset to sleep. It's going to be one or the other. But either way, we're proud of our boys. Tito, I'm sure you're proud of your boys one way or another as well. We are really excited to see what happens. This is Gate 7 International, everyone, by the fans, for the fans. Plenty of content coming to you. Like I said, the entire team is in Greece. So if you are in Greece, check out socials. Fun stuff is coming. Vlogs for sure will be done. You might even catch us at a presser or two. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Gatti magico, o fumar,